really fast. So you guys have some help on how to put a house under contract. Let me see here. Okay. Let's share my screen. That would probably be good. Okay. Can y'all see my screen? It's the members portal is where we're at. We're in the members portal. Is that a yes? Is that a go? Okay, good. All right, so now what we're going to do is go into the forms directory. I'm inside the members portal. Go to the forms directory. And well, I mean, as we go along, you'll get more and more forms. All these teachers are offering stuff and everything, you know. So this is just kind of like, this is like my stuff. And you see how we got the project review. We've got rehabs, to running your numbers on rehabs, contract for a project manager, analyzer, cap rate calculators, a yellow letter generator, marketing spreadsheets, repair estimates right here. Here's your seller lead sheet that I told you about. So I wanted to show you the contract. This is a contract for contractors. This is right here. The independent contractor agreement is a contract for your contractors. Here's an assignment and purchase, and here's the standard purchase and sell agreement. And let's see, I think that's, yeah, that's it. Okay, so you would just download this. Now I got to stop. I'm going to stop screen. Oh yeah, before I stop the screen, I wanted to show you real fast right here under benefits and discounts is partners. Okay. And the partners is where you're going to find Rehab Valuator and Flipper Force and these kinds of things, right? So here's Flipper Force right here. ROI Muse is also a deal analyzer. I did not mention them, and they have every deal analyzer for every property, residential and commercial, right? And you just pay like a small fee. Actually, make sure you get everything from here because you get like a discounted rate for REI USA members. If you went actually to their website and do it, it'd be a different price, okay? Just so y'all know. Deal Machine is here, RealFlow, foreclosure.com. We are going, see Rehab Valuators right here too. Okay. So let me see. That's what I wanted to show you. Okay, so now I'm going to stop the screen and I'm going to go to share screen again and go to the contract, which is right here. Okay. And this is what the contract looks like. All right. This is just a very easy peasy lemon squeezy contract. You do not want to be like giving them a 5-page or a 10-page contract to any seller because you're going to just scare them. All right. 2 pages. Yeah. Just look at this contract. Bing, bang, boom. That's all you need. Right. And unless you're a realtor, then of course you got to use the contract that you're supposed to use. Right. Which actually protects the buyer. Whereas this one this protects the seller, this contract. Okay. I mean, it protects everybody, but it's really kind of like, it's for us. Okay, so this is it. So it says agreement. Can you guys see this? Actually, before I do that, make sure y'all can see my contract. Yes, again, I think, right? It's kind of hard with Zoom. You got to always like get in and get out. I'm not seeing anybody complain that they can't see it. So I'm going to go start, okay? Agreement between, and this is where you're going to put like it's the buyer's name right here. And right here is where you're going to put the seller's name. Right now, and whether or not you do it in your own name or doing the company name, it doesn't really matter. I highly recommend that you're wholesaling in an LLC, right? Because once you start doing too many deals, you become like a sole proprietor. Sole proprietors get taxed so high, like you don't want to be getting taxed so much. Like capital gains is enough, right? You don't want any more than that. Okay, so I would suggest starting an LLC, and I shared the partners page, Legal Shield. Legal Shield will set up LLCs for you, and also Law Clerk on Demand as a sponsor. They'll set up businesses for you if you need help with that. Okay. Agreements between, here is the buyer, here's the seller. All right, and then here's the address of the property. Okay. And then here is the purchase price. You put your earnest money down. How much earnest money should you put down for a property? As little as you possibly can. I have never ever put any more like on a wholesale deal, or if I put it under contract, never more than like $100. Right now, all my storage facilities, I do a little bit more because they're more expensive, but $10 to $100 is like typical. Now, if you do it through the MLS, you're going to have to do like $1,000 or more, right? Because they typically ask for 1%. But like, if you're just doing it yourself, just put down $10 and just see what happens if they say anything. If they come back and say like, and actually $10, what $10 does is it gives you equitable interest in the property so that you can wholesale it. One thing I do want to point out too is just make sure that you're in a state that you can wholesale in. There's a couple of states you cannot wholesale in, and I cannot remember what they are, honestly. So maybe a good question is to post out in the private Facebook group. Which states can you not wholesale in? I think one of them is like Indiana or Illinois. I think it's Indiana, but it's like one of the I states. If anybody knows, puts it into the chat. There's a couple of states that wholesaling is illegal. So make sure you find out first if you can in your state. But most of them you can, okay, just so you know. And here is the earnest money right here. Total purchase price is here, right? So you're gonna put your total price, and then you're gonna put like, this is where the deposit's gonna be held. Okay. Here's your closing cost. The buyer agrees to pay all the closing costs, right? This is like, and you can always like, if you're going through a contract with somebody and they're like, what, change this or change this, then you can just, just negotiate. Everything on a contract is negotiable. Everything, unless you're a realtor, then you can't really negotiate a lot, right? But on these types of contracts, you can negotiate. So if they say like, I don't want to pay closing costs or whatever, then that's negotiable. If you want to do a subject to, exact same thing. Fill it out, exact same thing. And then you would just add like a terms and conditions right here section. That just says this property is, this, we're working on doing a, this, like you would this is like this section here, the additional terms and conditions is where you put like your notes into your attorney. Okay, so like you wouldn't say subject to, but you would say like, this is a property that like we're taking over the mortgage. Now make sure that you have an attorney that understands what you're doing. Okay, so subject to, you have to find a subject to attorney to do that. Okay, but for me, I use this contract and then I just put whatever I want into this little section right here because I don't know what to put. I just put like the terms that we agreed upon. That's what I put. So I'll just put like, if it's owner financing or if it's like subject to, I'll just type it in like, this is what we agreed upon, and then just have them like even just sign the contract or initial right next to it. Like you don't have to be all professional and stuff. Okay, because what's going to happen is the attorney, especially with the subject to, okay, AJ, is the attorney's going to handle most of that stuff. All right, they're going to talk to the seller and make sure they understand everything. Now, this contract is good to use for buyers and sellers. So remember, if you're wholesaling, now if you're rehabbing, you could just put the thing under contract with the seller, and this is like one contract. But if you're wholesaling it, you're going to have two contracts. On one end, you're going to be the buyer of the property, and on the other contract, you're going to be the seller of the property. Right? So you can use the same contract for both sides, or you can just do an assignment. There's an assignment addendum in the forms directory that you could just use that. So you could put this under contract, with the seller, and then you could just do an assignment addendum and say, hey, I'm assigning this to this person as well. So either way, the way that I do it is I just do both contracts. I do a buy contract and a sell contract. That's kind of how I do it. But some people, they just do assignment. Okay. Closing costs, the transfer of the title, right? We're going to transfer the title over. The closing, here's the date of the closing, right? Here's the inspection period, right? There's an inspection period. So you put this in, you can put the date and the initials. Like I need 10 days of inspection, or 20 or 30 days or 3 days or 100 days, or, storage facilities, I'll ask for like 90 days inspection period sometimes. And, if it's like a horribly mismanaged facility. But you can, I mean, usually with residential, it's like, you know, anywhere up to like 14 days or 2-3 weeks. If it's a really horrible house and needs a lot of work and you know it's gonna be like 100+ rehab, then you could ask for like a longer time. Like, look, I'm gonna need some time to really put these numbers together. This is a huge major rehab. Right. And then if it's like you walk in and you're like, I already know 5,000, 5,000, 5,000. Okay, I only need like 2 weeks of due diligence. I can get my inspector over here, my contractor, just make sure I'm right. Okay. So like I said, everything is negotiable. AJ says, if the seller wants 20K and owes 100K and has a lien of 5K, I would put 125K as the purchase price. If the seller wants 20K and owes 125K, no. For a subject to, you would put now. You have to go, if you are interested in subject to, AJ, you have to sign up for William Tingle's course, his monthly meeting. He meets on Saturdays, like once a month on Saturday. So make sure William Tingle is the teacher for subject twos in REI USA. That's all he does is he does, I mean, he does creative deal structuring, but he's teaching for REI USA subject twos. All right. So highly recommend that you go there and ask him all these questions, right? Because I don't do a lot of subject twos, okay, on a regular basis. But if it was a subject to, you would be putting in the purchase amount of what you're going to be purchasing the property for, which will be most likely what the person owes on the property. Right. And then if you have some sort of like earnest money or down payment or something like that, you can write that into the stipulations. Okay, there's a down payment of X amount of dollars. And you can come in, I mean, you could go in and just write in anything that you want here or just write it down here. Okay. And I highly recommend that you know, we had our attorneys look over these contracts, but we have a disclaimer that says, like, in your state, make sure that you're, you know, you're using the right contracts for your state. So I would get, like, the way that we do it is we have Legal Shield. All right. And then I just send every contract that I ever do, I send it over to Legal Shield and I have them review it in my state to make sure that these contracts are valid. So highly, highly recommend that you get Legal Shield. It's like $40 a month. Use the REI USA account because it's usually like $75. And I think we get ours for like $40 a month. And they'll review every single contract and, you know, answer all your legal questions and like help you with all the BS that comes with being an investor. Right? That's what Legal Shield is for. Okay. So, but you can write in any terms that you want. And okay, also, and also William Tingle, I'm sure he's going to be giving away a lot of free stuff too. So he may have like another contract because he's like such a nice guy. So he may have like another contract that you can use for just subject twos. Okay. So we'll see what he offers. He's starting in February. I think he's like next week. I think he's this Saturday. I'm not sure if anybody knows. Okay. And let's see, there's a default clause, right? So don't go into default. Survival agreement. So this is all like legal stuff right here. And then this is the most important thing. This contract is assignable, number 7. So make sure that when you are doing a wholesale deal that you have an assignable contract, whether you use this one or somebody else's that you got or whatever. It just has to be an assignable contract, right? If it's not assignable, then that means you're buying it and that's it. You can't assign it to anybody else. Okay. And then you would do any other terms that you have, just put them in here, right? Just any other terms at all. And then you sign it. Okay. So that is the contract. And the contract will be up in like just Word, like a Word document. So you can get in there and you can add stuff if you want to add stuff. Now, if you add anything, right, you got to get a contract. You got to get a lawyer to check that out and look at it, right? You don't be adding stuff, but you can get in there if you need to like update and change something, you'll be able to do that. Okay, we're working on getting everything in as like a Word doc as well too, okay? Okay, so that is the contract.